damn, dude. Woo! I just watched Jim Carrey's commencement address at the 2014 MUM graduation. And woo! Was that a fucking inspirational speech. So a buddy of mine, I guess I should probably do the welcome to the Cosmic Perspective. Damn, dude, I'm sorry. I lost all form here because this shit was like, this is what I needed to hear in this moment. Wow. I don't know if you guys have ever seen this thing, but it is super awesome. It starts out a little slow. It's worth the wait. Definitely keep going through it. He drops a lot of awesome stuff throughout the thing, but wow. So I didn't start writing anything of like what he was saying until like partway through it, so I'm probably missing some stuff in the beginning. But I wrote down some quotes of some things that he said, and I want to give you guys my thoughts on I think what that means to me, and hopefully what that might mean to you, right? Just exposing you the ideas. So one of the first things that I wrote down when I started taking some notes was, you can fail at what you don't want, so you might as well take a chance on doing what you love. Now, I've said this kind of thing in a previous podcast where I said, like whatever you are meant to do, give your gift to the world, like that kind of thing. And so that is certainly what he's getting at here. And I'm not saying that I've said it before to be like, yeah, I'm with Jim Carrey or whatever. It's just, it's an idea that I already believe in. So when I hear it said so eloquently from somebody else, it really just, it fucking fires you up, man. Woo! Got that dragon energy. Shout out to Matt for sending this to me. Wow. So he asked the question to, obviously not expecting an answer, but asked the question of how will you serve the world? And that's something that I try to think about a lot. Is like, well, what is my gift to the world? What is something that I can do that no one else can do? And then how can I do it? And I feel like the podcast is one of those things. I think I was born to do this podcast. I'm not saying I'm at the level that I'm going to be at later right now. I think I'm still figuring this thing out, but I know that this is one of those mediums that is just meant for my personality. It's certainly something that feels right when I do it, and I enjoy doing it. I'm going to keep fucking doing it as long as I enjoy it. The second it becomes unfun, then I'm not going to do this podcast. But I don't foresee that happening. I feel like this gives me such a great opportunity to talk to awesome people, to have cool conversations, and then to just put good ideas out into the universe. And that's what I'm about, man. That's what I want to do. I want to serve my purpose in this world, and I want to do the things that I can do to inspire people in a way that only I can. And I hope that everyone else can feel that way too, right? I hope that everyone else gets that chance to serve their purpose. And that purpose is something that you can create, but it is also something that is like innate in you, that when you are true to that thing, the true person that you are, it's going to be what you were born to make. It ends up fulfilling itself because you're, of course, going to be drawn to the thing that makes you great, if you are great. And the secret is everyone's great, but not everyone is going to be great. So I think just in general, man, this speech really got me into that zone, into that flow state, but I'm feeling it. I really am. Like I've been feeling this a lot lately because I've been trying to get my mind right. I've been trying to get my body right. I'm trying to like heal up. For those of you guys who don't know, I don't know if I mentioned on a podcast, but I've been like dealing with this horrible tendonitis injury in my right arm, and it is just so persistent and naggy. And for like the first 5 months of it, it was just like absolute like real pain, man, like all day pain, just dull achy pain with sharp pain if I used it. And it was awful. And it has since come down from that, and it's gotten much better, but it still feels off. It still doesn't feel like 100% me. And for those months that it was hurting me every day, it was like fucking with my head. Like it's like being in pain all day. It puts you in a state of agitation. It puts you in this state of just constant like discomfort, and you don't realize what that does to you mentally. You don't realize like the psychological effects of having constant pain all the time. And for people who do have constant pain, you know, I now fully understand it. It's awful, and I do not like having it. And recently, I've actually gone back to the gym, and not gone back to the gym in any heavy way. I'm not racing into it. I am taking it extremely slow, and I'm lifting super light weights. But the point for me is to see, is it psychological now? Is my injury now only in my head? Because at a certain point, you start going crazy when you're like, all right, wait, yeah, but like you're going to get better, right? Like, when is this going to start feeling better? And of course, it's not always going to go on the timeline that you want to go on. And unfortunately, that timeline has been very long for me, because I injured this back in July of last year, and it is now September 19th at the time that I'm recording this. So that's a long time to be dealing with the same injury that prevents you from doing one of the things you love. So for me, I love lifting. I've now learned to have like a really healthy relationship with the gym. Now I want to work out because I just want to be healthy, just because I want to take care of my vessel. So that is now the purpose of it. For a while, it used to be like my outlet. You know, when I was working customer support on the phones, it was a very stressful job where you're dealing with tough deadlines. You are getting usually in confrontational situations, or just difficult conversations with people, either about losing information or about trying to walk them through something that they are like scared of. And that whole stressful environment it would like build up a bunch of tension for me. It would build up a lot of anxiety and like kind of anger sometimes, and frustration. And so the gym was my way of taking it out. And to a point, I felt like I got like bigger than I really wanted to be. Like, I'm not trying to be like huge, you know, I kind of just want to be like in shape. And for a while, I felt like I was just getting fucking huge. And not again, like not like trying to like flex and be like, I was huge. Like, no, I wasn't like huge, but I definitely was bigger than I needed to be. And I was definitely lifting heavier weights than I needed to. And I think strength, like absolute strength, is like pointless unless you actually lift stuff all the time, you know, like otherwise it really should just be about maintaining a healthy body weight and making sure that, you know, your body is working in the most optimized way possible. And for some people, that's going to be like being on the larger side in terms of muscle mass. And then other people, you know, you're going to be skinnier, but you'll be in a better shape. And so returning to the gym for me is now like, it's symbolic almost, because I feel like ever since I haven't been able to go to the gym, like I go and I do cardio. So it's not like I'm doing nothing, but it's so boring. Cardio is not inspiring. And when I go to the gym and I get like a real workout in, where I'm really focusing on the discipline of doing the exercising, completing the weights, completing the sets, that's like building habits for you to doing other shit. And this was something I was super into when I first like got into psychedelics and meditation and mindfulness. The whole thing, it was all about like taking care of myself. And I've always had that in mind without always doing it, and having blind spots and like, what the hell am I doing? Like, I'm eating sugar, I'm eating like late, I'm eating often, you know, and so that's where we kind of don't realize that we get caught up in certain things, and we end up being in a bunch of negative loops that we have been trapped in for so long that it doesn't even feel like a loop anymore. It just feels like who you are. And to be able to separate from that again and see yourself in a new light, it helps you recreate that self-image that we're always creating. And it's cool to kind of hit that level of understanding where you're like, oh, damn, I'm not that. And I can be whatever I want to be. I just have to do it. And so obviously my thing was an injury. So I was thinking I need to take time off. And there is a point where I did need to take time off. But then there's also a point where it's like, okay, it's not going to be pain-free. You got to do something to start building some strength back. And I was doing physical therapy exercises with like the TheraBand. I was doing it for like 8 weeks straight of every day. I did 3 sets of 15, and it really didn't get better on its own. But I think maybe it's more than just that. I think now I do need to just start going back to the gym and treating my arm like normal and eventually build up some of the other muscles around it. That way it's not taking as much of the stress. Because at this point, it's like, what else can I do? It's clearly not bad enough where, I feel like it's not bad enough where I should need surgery. It doesn't feel like it's that injured, but it also feels like it's not hitting past this certain point. And so once that thing was fucking with my head for so long to like be able to return to the gym, I feel like I'm starting to return to who I really am and when I'm at my 100%. And then it made me realize like, damn, I didn't understand that so much of like the like depression or like the sadness part of my situation was really just because I felt like anxious and unhealthy, both in like diet, exercise, and just like mental state. And it's fucking crazy. It's like literally clicking to me right now. You know, it's something that I've been like kind of approaching these last couple days where I've been getting close to this kind of realization, but doing the gym these last 2 days and actually being able to lift and doing it light weights, like super lightweight, and it not actually really hurting my arm. Don't get me wrong. Is my arm sore right now? Yes. Is it sore in a bad way though? I don't think so. It really doesn't feel like it. And it's just so dope, man. I don't mean to keep rambling about this shit, but it's just like, for me, this is like a huge deal because once I'm back in the gym, like I know that my general day is so much better. It sets the tone for how I'm going to behave on the rest of the day. My productivity level definitely goes through the roof when I go to the gym because I get all this extra energy out so that I'm more easily able to get focused. If I have too much energy, I can't sit still. It's just who I am. I have a hard time sitting in the same place for a long period of time. And I don't think like I have like ADD or anything, but I do think that I'm a creative person. So I'm a creative person. I'm totally the greatest. No, but I'm a creative person. Like I just have that kind of wandering mind, so to speak. I like to think about interesting things and go through scenarios. And so that overactive imagination, although is great for creativity, is not so great for staying focused and really like sitting down and getting your shit done. And I can do it, but apparently I need to work out hard in order to fucking do it. And I've learned that now about myself, and having this injury time to almost like, it's almost become a case study. This might be the lesson that I'm learning from this injury. And maybe now that I learned the lesson, the universe is going to reward me and fucking fix my arm. But it's cool to see how that realization made me realize how important it is that I take care of myself. And more than just like exercising. It's like, what are you putting in your body? Because your cells are fueled by the objects that you are putting into your pleasure hole, your mouth pleasure hole. And you know what? I love some mouth pleasure. So I have no problem with eating, delicious foods when the time is right. But I know that I need to discipline myself better because I eat way too much fucking sugar. I do. I'm a sugar addict, and I'm trying to kick the habit right now. And I've also switched back to intermittent fasting, which is something that when I was doing it, it felt good and it felt healthier, and I was at a much healthier weight. But that was also like right as I injured it. So it was like I was doing it when I was working out, and it was great. And then when I got injured and I got the other job, then it became like I had a bunch of bad habits happen at once. And now I've had the clarity and the time away from that to really like see that was what was happening. And that was the reason why I was in the loops that I was in, and why I've kind of been in, I wouldn't even say it's like a downward spiral, because I don't feel like my overall situation is actually still improving. But like mentally, I felt like I was not achieving my dreams. I felt like I wasn't doing the things that I was born to do. And I guess right now I'm having this realization on this podcast of how this was all necessary to get me to this point right now, to understand the shift that is happening in me. And that's so cool, man. It's cool. You guys are witnessing this right now. I have to release this podcast now because this is fucking real. This is me having an epiphany because I watched this fucking video. And I'm not even done talking about it. This was me just fucking rambling, so I apologize. But man, okay, so there's a couple of the quotes here that really got me inspired. Damn, that was such a realization for me. That's so crazy. You know, and I have realizations all the time, but it is really cool to see. It's really cool to see how it's getting almost easier to notice my blind spots. And I still have blind spots that I probably am not seeing right now. But I do think I'm getting better at detecting when I'm bullshitting myself, which is awesome. I highly recommend it. Try to figure out when you're lying to yourself. It's important. Okay. So one of the other quotes that he says is, the effect you have on others is the most valuable currency there is. And I could not agree more. I mean, for real, what makes you feel better than helping someone else? Like the look on their face when they're like, oh my God, you did this for me. And like, yeah, it's great when people do it to you. And that's nice. Like when you have that kind of relationship with people where it's reciprocated. It's not an eye for an eye. It's not like even Stevens. It's like, hey, like I like making you happy. And that's what I'm here for. And I fucking love that, man. I love that. Oh, I love that feeling. And that's what I'm in this for. And I want to give that feeling to you guys. Whoever the fuck is listening to this, that's what I want to give you. I want to give you my dragon energy. I want to give you the dragon energy. And I know that this podcast is that thing. I know that if I keep following this, the universe is going to be like, okay, I understand what you want. Time to give it to you. And that was another thing that Jim Carey said in his speech. And he says, here we go. I want to make sure I get the quote right, so I'm going to read it. But he says, fuck, hold on. No, that's not it. That's not it. Damn, I'm killing momentum. I apologize. Hold on. I know this. I want to see if I read it. Yeah, here we go. You have to let the universe know what you want. And then you have to let go of the concept of how it's going to come to pass. And that was part of what I think just triggered my realization for me of thinking like, oh, I'm a fucking planet. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and it's going to work this way, and it's going to work that way. This shit's all fabrications in my head. I have no idea how this shit's going to work out. And all I can ever do is do the things that I'm doing right now. And obviously have a foresight of like knowing generally where you're going, have a game plan, that's fine. But knowing that you really can't plan beyond, like, I don't even think you can plan beyond a month. Like, you know, like I think you can have long-term plans, but you have no idea when you're going to get to that destination. But if you set that as your North Star, I do think that you will get there. It just might not be at the pace that you expect. It could be faster, it could be slower. But I think having that faith, which is another thing that Jim Carey says in this, it's like having that faith to just follow it and know that it is going to be there when you need it. And if something is not there, then you need to trust that it was not the right moment. And sometimes that right moment is not when we want it to be, and that's okay. That's the universe is not, it's here for us, but it's not here for our desires to control things, because we don't get to write the narrative. Like you can author your life, so to speak, because you are writing your character, but you don't control the overarching story. You can only control the character, and the character is merely an avatar. And we are all part of this one consciousness. We are all the same thing expressed in various forms and ways, and this is something that I believe just in the same way that you know Jim Carey does, of how like we're all this inner light. We all have this fucking divine power coming from us that, when awakened, has the ability to illuminate others. And it's almost like that power of illuminating others is the point of this universe, in an otherwise pointless universe where it seems like nothing matters, or it seems like it's just random. I don't think anything's random anymore. I used to think that, like, I don't know. I used to be such a fucking atheist, and I used to be such like a, I know it, and I'm right. What a fucking idiot. What a fool I was. But, I needed to have that point of view so that now that I don't have that point of view, I can look back and realize how silly I was being. And I don't mean to say that I'm fucking right now, but more of that I know that I don't know anymore. And that's cool. It's cool when you get to that point in, I guess you're in your spiritual development, so to speak, when you realize that you as the self is not the entirety of who you are. That we, the body, are not the soul. And so that actually leads to the next quote that really fucking stuck with me. And it was, my soul is not contained within the limits of my body. My body is contained within the limitlessness of my soul. One unified field, here for no reason but to entertain itself. Damn, Jim Carey, you dropping some fucking science on these motherfuckers. That was crazy. Our soul is infinite. What we are as people, as human beings, that is just, a limitation of the form, not a limitation of us. And it's just like a crazy concept to think about. But when you really think about it, as far as like what we have the ability to do, we can use this vessel to do some crazy things. We can build buildings. We can build objects like fucking smartphones and vaporizers or these fucking, what do you call it? The hydro flasks. Dude, these things are crazy. You can put some water in it or some hot coffee and it will stay that same temperature like all day, like for like 7 hours, 8 hours. That's an amazing piece of technology. And why does that exist? Because somebody's like, man, I wish I could like buy coffee early and then have it stay hot all day, like not have to reheat it, like it's fresh. And they're like, all right, yeah, let's make that. And then somebody fucking made it, dude. Somebody made it. That's the universe we live in. We live in a universe where you can fucking think about something and create it. We live in a universe where I could write something in a science fiction universe and someone could be so inspired by that they go make it. Then I need to do it. I have to put the shit out there. And I'm using a very specific example because it is something I'm working on. But in general, whatever that fucking thing is for you, like you find that inner divinity that you have, the thing that makes you feel the most alive, and you use that energy to put it out into the world. That will set off a fucking match that will ignite the next person. Think about how many people have been inspired by various famous people even, like Jim Carey, fucking Tupac, dude. Think about how many people have been inspired by Tupac. He's got so many dope interviews. If you guys have not seen him, like when he just talks about some real shit, he was a flawed human being, but he also had some really dope things to say, and he is a spark that is still igniting flames right now. What is stopping you from igniting the flames of other people? Nothing. Literally nothing. It takes a switch in your head, a switch in your mind to say, you know what? I'm going to do the thing that I was born to do. And the effect of such a thing is going to have such a positive impact on other people that it's going to make me feel so good. And you're feeling good for multiple reasons. You're fulfilling yourself, which is important. You gotta love yourself, man. You can't love anybody else until you love yourself. And after taking care of yourself, then you start taking care of other people because you know how. When you've solved your own problems, you can help other people solve theirs. You won't know exactly what they're going through. You won't have a perfect solution, but you might be the spark that ignites them to solve their own problems. And we need more of that. We need more of this fucking community. I want to see people inspiring people. I want to see people trying to bring people up. We are all one big unified world, one big unified consciousness. We just don't know it yet. We're not fully awake. We have a bunch of neurons that are waking up right now. They're lighting up, but the brain is still kind of brain dead. Not like our society's kind of brain dead right now. But I think we can keep lighting up the neurons. Let's keep firing. And maybe, sometimes we need some assistance. Maybe we have to build up some gray matter by meditating. Maybe we have to connect the brain in ways that it's never been connected before with LSD or psilocybin. Maybe there are tools that can assist with this process. Or maybe we can do this simply by doing what we were born to do. And maybe some people's lives are, if nothing else, to at least serve a purpose of a lesson to learn of what not to do. Because you might meet some people where they go down a dark path. They don't do what they were born to do. In fact, they almost seem to be recklessly doing the opposite. And those people can be a tipping point for people where they realize, oh shit, man, I could be him? Fuck. And that could be the catalyst. So you could even fail at life and end up succeeding by helping others learn from your mistakes. And that actually brings me to something that now I just remembered that a buddy of mine, Albert Reed, said. And he is super dope. I'd love to have him on the podcast. He's in Florida, though, so that might be challenging. But he said I did a final school project, and I interviewed him. The whole point of the project was, to light it, edit it, have a certain number of B-roll shots. And Albert was this awesome. He was a manager at AT&T. I don't know if he still is. And he's just super inspirational dude. So he is a Paralympic athlete. And when he was 18, I believe, 17 or 18, he lost his leg in a car accident. And that was a formative moment for him. And he always thought that he was going to go do basketball or football or do some sort of sports to try to get out of his situation. He grew up kind of a tough situation. And he ended up, because of that accident, going on to compete within a year of his accident. Within a year of losing his leg, he went on to compete as a Paralympic athlete. And he ended up, I don't know if he actually went to the Olympics for that, within that time frame, but he was competing with he was competing in a professional setting. So he was already jumping from, car accident, losing the leg, to training like a motherfucker and, running his ass off. Cause he specifically was track. And yeah, so he is super dope. And what he said is it's better to have a bad impact than no impact at all, because then you can learn from people. You can learn from that, of what not to do. And I thought that shit, he's such an inspiring dude. I wish I still had the raw footage of the entire interview, because right now I only have the clips of just what I cut together. But man, I had to cut that down to 3 minutes. I didn't want to cut any of it because he said so much cool shit. He's such a dope dude. I gotta have him on the podcast. So I will definitely try to find a way to coordinate that. Even if I gotta Skype him, I'll take it. Because you guys gotta hear him. He is a hell of an inspirational character. And this dude has gotten up at 4 a.m. in the morning to work out. He's shredded, man. He's shredded. He doesn't let one leg being missing hold him back. He doesn't give a fuck. Yo, if he can do that, dude, anyone can do anything. And that is not a knock against him. What he's doing is difficult, but if he can pull that off despite all the things that were against him, man, then you can get over whatever's your adversity. But if you listen to your ego, and this is something that Jim Carey says, if you listen to your ego, there's always going to be somebody better than you. You're always going to be comparing yourself to other people. And I know it's cliche to say that we all have our own path, right? We all have our own, our own timeline, right? And we don't know when our timelines end, and they all end at different lengths, depending on when we start. What is the point of comparing to someone else when you don't know how they got to where they got to? Because when you're getting there, You're going along a journey that you can follow. You've been there for every scene. You can logically follow the characters that are in the story, and you understand the context of why you're at where you're at. But when you see someone else, you're only seeing the few times that your universes interact. And so how can you base your journey, which is happening within you, off of somebody else's journey, which is happening within them? You're only seeing the outer aspect of the journey. You're not seeing the inner aspect. And so you don't understand how many years they might have put into work to get to where they're at, even if they are younger than you. You know, there are people who are younger and more successful than you right now. And that does not mean that you cannot be successful on your own time, based on your own frame of reference with the moves that you had available to you in this game. The game that we call life. We are always improvising. As a Second City improviser, I definitely view the world now as an improvisation, is that you're constantly improving all the time. And if you yes and the moment, you are more likely to have an interesting situation than if you say no and you shut the scene down. And I'm all about creating good scenes. That's what I want to do, man. I want to create a whole life full of crazy ass scenes of things I never thought I'd be able to do. But because I dreamed that I could, I achieved it. And I'm not there yet, but at the same time, I feel like I'm already living my dream. I just don't realize it. I think the ego's getting in the way because I'm like, well, yeah, but you don't have these numbers. You don't have this, that, or the other thing. None of that shit matters, man. I'm already living the dream. I'm trying to pursue what I want. I'm following in my inner path and the way that I was born to do. That's crazy. And most people don't do that. Most people choose the safe bet. But to choose the safe bet and to fail at something that you don't want, that's like even worse. I mean, I'd rather fail at trying to do this than to fail at not even trying to fail at doing some bullshit sellout job. Fuck that. I'm not doing that. No way. I'm not. That's not how I want to live life. And that's okay if other people want to do that, but to me it seems like a waste of your dragon energy. It is a waste of your inner light. It's a waste of what you could serve the world. So I feel like what we should do as people is dig deep into ourselves. Think about what makes us who we are, truly. What truly makes you who you are. What are the qualities of the type of person that you want to be and the type of person that you can be and the skill set that you have. And how can you best use that in every situation possible while being as authentic to that as you can. Not playing it merely as a game, but treating it like a game while playing it as authentically as possible. It's a fantasy world that we live in. We live in a fantasy world, but we don't realize the magic. We don't see the magic in it because we're so conditioned by the fucking bullshit, like the buildings and the infrastructure and the jobs and all this stuff and how we organize things. And we try to put form on things that don't need form. We forget who we are. We forgot who we are. We forgot that we are divine beings in a fucking crazy universe of seemingly nothingness, but beautiful stars and planets and galaxies. Why do we forget this all the time? It's so easy to forget this. I don't know why. I forget this. I'm a fucking space nerd and I forget the cosmic perspective. And this is hilarious that I just did that. I'm a fucking loser. I called it my own podcast. But really, we forget the cosmic perspective. And that's okay. It's part of being human. But we need to remind ourselves of just how big and small we are. Fuck, I'm going to leave it at that, man. This was a podcast inspired to you by... Actually, wait, hold on. This podcast was sponsored by Jim Carey's Inspiration and Marijuana. Okay. So signing out. This is Kevin. Thank you for listening. be sure to email thecosmicperspectivepod@gmail.com. The link will be in the description. And email me and let me know if I inspired you, or if I've said anything in any of these podcasts that has helped you in any way see something in a different way. Because this is the shit that I'm looking for. I don't care about money or getting like a ton of followers, right? I really want to impact as many people as possible, but I want to do it for the right reasons. I'm not trying to do it like the podcast is not my money-making goal. It might end up being that because that's how the universe might reward me, but I'm not even concerned with that. That's not why I'm doing it. I'm doing this because I think that this is what I was born to do. And if I can make some money doing it, then great. I will definitely appreciate that. But I understand the power that this thing can wield for me and the amount of people that I can touch. I mean, that it's limitless now with the internet. And who knows how many fires that we can set. That sounds bad, setting fires. California's crying right now. No, but really, you don't know how many people you can spark just by your words. Fuck, even just your words, man. Jim Carey's words just did that to me. And you know, his words really were not it. It wasn't the words. It was the message. And the message was delivered to me in a moment where I was willing to listen. And I think that is the most important part that we need to go through life with. And I'm not saying this because I'm some expert. I'm just saying it's worked for me, and I hope it works for you. But if we are listening, then we will know when to answer the call. You just have to listen. You got to be in the right moment for the message. The message is always there. It's always there to remind you of the divinity that's within you. It's always there to remind you of the power that you have inside. You just have to listen. And with that, I was going to say Neil deGrasse Tyson's like, keep looking up. No, but really, look at the universe, man. Look up. Because that shit's realer than anything down here. Peace.